You think cooking is just something you do when you're hungry. You open the fridge, turn on the stove, and 20 minutes later dinner is done. It feels like a chore, a convenience, maybe even a hobby. But what if I told you that this ordinary act, this thing you barely think about, is the single reason you have the brain to think about anything at all? Because before humans cooked, humans were something else entirely. Let's go back, way back. Around 2 million years ago, our ancestors were not sitting around a fire. They were raw food creatures, more ape than human, spending most of their waking hours doing one exhausting thing: chewing. A chimpanzee today spends about 6 hours a day just chewing raw food. Their jaws are enormous, their teeth are heavy, and their guts are gigantic, because raw plants and raw meat are incredibly hard to break down. That was our life too. Nature had trapped us in a slow, grinding existence where nearly all our energy went into the machinery of eating. And then, somewhere in that deep past, everything changed. Enter a Harvard primatologist named Richard Wrangham. In 2009, he published a book called Catching Fire, and inside it was an idea so bold it split the scientific world in half. Wrangham argued that cooking didn't just make food tastier, cooking made us human. He called it the cooking hypothesis, and once you understand it, you can never look at a stove the same way again. Here is the core of it. When you apply heat to food, you do something incredible. You pre-digest it outside the body. Heat breaks down tough fibers, unravels proteins, and gelatinizes starches. A cooked potato gives up far more energy than a raw one. Cooked meat is softer, safer, and packed with calories your body can actually absorb. Suddenly, an animal that eats cooked food is getting a massive energy bonus for free without evolving a single new tooth. Now watch what happens next, because this is where it gets almost unbelievable. Around 1.9 million years ago, a new human appears in the fossil record, Homo erectus. And Homo erectus is strange. Compared to its ancestors, it has smaller teeth, a smaller jaw, a smaller gut, but a much, much bigger brain. This is a paradox. The brain is the most energy-hungry organ in the entire body. Your brain alone burns about a fifth of all the energy you use, just sitting there. So how do you grow a giant, expensive brain while shrinking the very organs you use to process food? Wrangham's answer is simple and stunning. You outsource digestion to fire. Cooking did the work your guts used to do, so your body could afford to shrink your intestines and pour that saved energy straight into your skull. Fire, in a sense, became an external stomach. And that external stomach fed the explosion of the human mind. But wait, if cooking is this important, we need proof that early humans actually controlled fire, and this is where the story gets genuinely contested. So let me be honest with you about the evidence. The oldest widely accepted sign of controlled fire comes from a place called Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. Deep inside, roughly 1 million years old, scientists found burned bone and ash sitting in a spot that wind and lightning could not easily reach. It looks like fire was tended there on purpose. Then at a site in Israel called Gesher Beno Yaakov, around 790,000 years old, researchers found tiny burned flint fragments clustered in specific patches, as if someone kept returning to the same hearth again and again. Here's the rehook though, because the deepest part of this mystery is still ahead. If Homo erectus already had a small gut and a big brain almost 2 million years ago, but our best fire evidence is only about 1 million years old, Then there's a gap of nearly 1 million years that nobody can fully explain. And that gap is where one of the biggest arguments in human evolution is still raging today. Some scientists say Wrangham pushed the date too early. They argue that early humans could have gotten their energy boost from simply pounding and slicing raw meat with stone tools, no fire required, and that regular cooking only came much later. Others suspect that fire was used far earlier than 1 million years ago, but that ancient campfires were small, out in the open, and left almost nothing behind for us to find. Ash is fragile. 1 million years erases almost everything. Absence of evidence, they remind us, is not evidence of absence. So the exact moment humans started cooking is still genuinely unknown. Maybe 2 million years ago, maybe 1 million. The fire that started it all may have literally burned away its own footprints. But now step back and look at what cooking actually did to us, because the consequences go far beyond calories. Think about what a fire is. It's not just heat. It's a gathering point. Raw food you can grab and eat alone, on the move. But cooked food demands that you stop, wait, and stay in one place while the meal transforms. So for the first time, our ancestors sat together in the dark around a glowing center, waiting. And waiting together, night after night, is how you build the thing we call society. The campfire may have been humanity's first living room. Some researchers believe that these long evenings by the fire gave us the time and the safety to develop language, storytelling, and the deep social bonds that no other animal on Earth possesses. There's more. Cooking freed up hours. Remember those 6 hours of daily chewing? Modern humans spend closer to 1 hour a day eating. Cooking gave us back 5 hours. 5 hours we no longer needed for the brute labor of digestion. 5 hours that could go into making tools, planning hunts, raising children, imagining, and dreaming. In a very real sense, cooking bought us the free time to become curious. And here is the twist that ties it all together. We often imagine that first we became intelligent, and then, being clever, we invented cooking. But Wrangham's hypothesis flips that completely. It suggests that cooking came first and intelligence came after, as a direct result. We did not cook because we were smart. We became smart because we cooked. The fire built the brain that would one day be clever enough to wonder where the fire came from. Now look down at your own body, your small mouth, your weak jaw, your tiny teeth that would be useless for tearing through raw hide, your short gut that cannot survive on raw leaves the way a gorilla's can. You are not built to eat raw food. You are, biologically, a creature adapted to eat cooked food. In fact, humans are the only species on the planet that cannot thrive on a fully raw diet in the wild. Take away cooking, and our species starts to fall apart. Studies of modern people on strict raw diets show many struggle to maintain healthy weight and fertility. We are so dependent on cooking that it is written into our anatomy. Fire is not something humans use. Fire is part of what humans are. So the next time you stand in front of your stove, half bored, waiting for water to boil, understand what you're really doing. You are performing the oldest and most transformative technology our species ever discovered. Older than the wheel, older than farming, older than writing. A technology so powerful it reshaped our jaws, shrank our stomachs, tripled our brains, and gathered us into families around a shared light in the dark. You think cooking is just something you do when you're hungry, but cooking is the reason there's a you at all.